everyone, it's Carly here and you're listening to the Made for More podcast, and this is episode 5. I can't believe it's episode 5 already. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has downloaded it, who's shared it, who's listened to it, reviewed it, given me a star, given me a thumbs up, given me a smiley face emoji, whatever it is that you've done in terms of support. I just appreciate it so much. The response and the feedback has just been incredible. And it's always a little bit nerve-wracking, isn't it, putting yourself out there and just kind of taking that step. But I'm so grateful that I have, and the feedback has been amazing, and I love hearing how much it's helped you. I've had so many messages, even from old friends that I've known years and years ago, saying, I listened to your podcast and it's really helped me with this. And honestly, when I hear how it's helped you and how it's impacted you, it just makes my day. So please let me know if any of it is really resonating with you. Also, I do just want to apologise if I sound a little bit nasal right now. I was going to hold off doing my podcast and recording it today, but then I thought, do you know what? You can't put stuff on hold and wait for everything to be perfect. I have got a cold. I've had a cold for 2 weeks now. I got it off my little boy. I haven't got the Rona, don't worry. But I'm really bunged up. And like I said, I was going to put it off, but you can't always put it off, can you? You just have to do it, get it done, get it out there. It's not always going to be perfect, but at least you're speaking from the heart, and that's what it's all about. So this week I realised that basically anything that I say on this podcast I am going to be held accountable to, and I can't get away with anything anymore. So you will have noticed in episode 3 I talked about how to stop procrastinating, and a real good sign of procrastinating is when you're organising stuff. So you're organising your spice rack, and as it happens I do actually love organising, and I came across a series on Netflix called The Home Edit. I don't know if anyone's watched it, but it's life-changing. And basically, these two women go to celebrities' houses and they organise the pantry, or they organise the kids' wardrobe, or they organise the garage, and it's just so satisfying. They do it all with canisters and all this wonderful magical organisation stuff. And so obviously I watched it, and in true Carly fashion I became obsessed, and then instantly decided that I have to do my pantry right now, this second, otherwise my life can't go on. So I went to IKEA, bought a silly amount of canisters and drawers and whatever. I've gone way overboard. And anyway, I put it on my Insta story, and someone messaged me and just said, Carly, are you procrastinating with this organisation? And I thought, oh no, I can't get away with anything anymore. As it happens, I wasn't actually procrastinating. I just was in my absolute organisational element. But if you haven't watched it and you are into that kind of thing, I really recommend it, but just make sure that you're not doing it and putting off something else that you should be doing. But yes, that was really funny. I loved getting that feedback. So today I'm actually in 45 minutes going to the airport, and me and my best friend are going away to Turkey. I feel like Turkey and Cyprus is the only place you can go right now. People are in Turkey or Greece. People are in one of two places if they're on holiday. So yeah, we're going to Cyprus. No, we're going to Turkey. And we're going to have 4 nights away, and I'm going to have 4 nights away from Frankie. This is the longest I've ever been away from him. And I'm not going to lie, I feel a bit anxious, a bit sad, a little bit oh God, I don't want to leave him. But I would have had loads of holidays booked in this week, and I would have had this year, and I would have had loads of opportunities to get away sooner. And I feel as time's going on, I'm getting even more and more attached. But I feel it'd be really good for me to get away and just have 4 nights on my own. And I know that it's going away on holiday and you should be relaxing, but honestly, my ultimate dream time is a time where I can totally geek out, and I can read my books, and I can work on my website, and I can record podcasts, and I can just do loads of work. I know that sounds so sad, but I think that really is there's a saying that says, when you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I'm not sure I entirely agree with that, because I definitely feel when I'm working, I am working hard. I feel that I am working hard. But it's inspired work, which is completely different. Inspired work really serves your soul, and really it gives me so much energy when I'm working hard on my business and something that I'm passionate about. So I'm going to have a whole week of doing that, and I'm just so excited about it. So this week I've been really kind of working on my own business and my own brand and my own vision, and I came up with I feel every business should have a mission statement and a vision statement. So some kind of depth behind what you're doing. I really find that I've learned this over the years, to be honest. I've always had so many ideas of different businesses and stuff like that. But what I found is if there's not a real reason for you doing it, as in if you're not trying to solve a problem with your product or your service, you end up just losing interest and you lose the drive. Because if you're just like, oh, I just kind of like to do it sometimes, that I kind of like to do it sometimes isn't enough to get you through the challenging times. So I really kind of knuckled down this week and worked out my mission statement and my vision statement. I really encourage you to do the same as well and figure out what it is. What's your vision for the future? And I don't just mean what's your vision for, what house you want to live in and what car you want to drive, but what's the vision for your business? What are you trying to achieve with it? What problems are you trying to solve? And so I realized that my vision statement was actually that I wanted 10x the number of female business owners who stick out a business venture past year one. I mean, first of all, I want them to get started in the first place. That is a major part, but I want them to stick it out. And do you know that 20% of people that start a business don't actually stick it out past year one? And only 40% and 40% of people don't stick it out past year two. But that's crazy to me, because that's the crunch point. That is like, have you ever seen that diagram of someone? There's two people and they have like a pickaxe and they're both under a tunnel. And they're bashing their way through, and then one of them keeps going, and then another one turns away just at the last minute, and he's like inches away from reaching this massive pot of gold. And I feel like people that quit after year one, after year two, they are at that point where it's like you just need to keep going. And this is a little bit graphic, but I'm going to tell you. When I was learning all about childbirth and everything like that, I always heard that when you're at the point where you're like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore, and you're literally at your wit's end, you're like, I've had enough, that's when the baby is like literally about to come. And it's so true. And do you know what? It's like that in business as well. When you're at the point where you're like so fed up and exhausted and like, come on, that's the bit where you have to just dig deep and keep going, and because you're just right there. And so what I want to do is just help people get past that bit and learn to overcome their mindset and that allows them to keep going really past that bit. So what I've realized is, after years and years and years of helping people build businesses and get started in businesses in lots of different areas, I've realized that the number one mistake that keeps people from sticking it out long enough is that they come into this with the wrong mindset. And it's not actually that it's the wrong mindset, it's just the wrong mindset for being a business owner. So most people that start a business, they are also employees. Most of them have a job as well. So you might have a 9 to 5 and then you start a business as a side hustle. And I really recommend that you do always keep your 9 to 5 job or whatever it is that brings in your bread and butter money. It's so important to have that financial stability, because when you give that up and you put loads of pressure into making this business work straight away because you need to pay your bills and you need to feed your kids and you need to put food on the table, it's a completely different way of building your business. And you actually find yourself making decisions that you shouldn't really be making, but it's not right for the long-term vision of your business, but you do it because you need money right now and you've gone a little bit, panicky. So I always recommend that you do have a job as well as starting your business. But what that means is, a lot of the time you have to switch your mindset. So you have to switch from an employee mindset to an entrepreneur mindset. And I really think that the reason why people quit so soon, and soon is a year, is because they come in with the wrong mindset. And I think if you come in with an entrepreneurial mindset straight away and you set the expectations of what being in business is all about, you're going to have a much smoother ride, because when the things pop up, it doesn't take you out. You're not like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Things pop up and you're like, okay, cool, I know this is part of it, I just need to ride it out. And you don't get kind of like taken off guard quite a lot. So first, I just want to talk to you about what the differences are between an employee mindset and an entrepreneur mindset, because once you get your head around them, you can really start to kind of pinpoint where you're at and see the changes that you need to make. So firstly, the most kind of obvious one is that employees work a 9 to 5 job and they work an hour and get paid an hour. So if you are working 10 hours a week and you're doing that however long, for the rest of the month, at the end of the month, you are going to expect to get that exact paycheck for the hours that you've worked. Or if you've got a salary or something like that, you know that you're going to get a certain amount of money at the end of the month. Now, when you are an entrepreneur, you don't get that. And actually, a lot of the time, you don't make any money for the first year. And that's really why, as well, I think people struggle so much, because they put in so much work and they're working so hard and then they're not getting any money for it. You are always the last person to get paid as a business owner. And I remember when I first started my business, I was on tour. I was doing a show with Dame Edna Everidge. I was traveling all around the country and I started my business. And back in the day, I love that saying, back in the day. I always say that. But anyway, back in the day, we didn't really use Zoom like we do now. I mean, God, 2020 is the year of the Zoom, isn't it? Everyone is all over it. But we didn't really use it as we did back then. And so back then we used to, if you wanted to have a meeting with someone or you wanted to see someone, you drove to their house or you drove to meet them for a coffee. So I used to drive everywhere, and I'd drive to Liverpool or Manchester or just to have a meeting with someone. And so many times they wouldn't show up, or they'd, cancel, or they would say no, but that's just what you did. That was, part of building a business in that time. And I remember I was traveling all around everywhere, and I was saying to Kurt, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change our lives. I'm going to retire you one day. I'm going to buy us this massive villa in Ibiza. This is it. This is the vehicle to give us whatever we want. And then at the end of that month, I'd been traveling around everywhere, literally flat out. Every spare moment I had, I was working my business. And then I got a £16.71 paycheck. And I remember I didn't even want to tell him. And he was like, "What did you get paid this month, babe?" And I was like, I mean, it's not loads. Then I started going to like major validation. It's not exactly what I thought, but it is going to grow. And anyway, he was like, "Wow, what are we going to do with this £16.71? We are rolling in it." But I just knew that that's how it goes. You can't expect to get paid the exact amount of hours that you work in the beginning. And I always think, if there was a job description on a job site or something, you would never, ever, ever take the job of an entrepreneur. If there was a job description and it said, okay, there's a job up for grabs, and it's basically every job role all the time. So you're going to work 7 days a week, probably about 12 hours a day. You're going to be on call all the time, so you don't really ever get any time off. And you're going to work for about 12 months. You won't earn anything for the first 12 months, but then after 12 months, you might earn a little bit, just depending on how it goes. You would never ever take that job, would you? You'd be like, no. But that's basically what being an entrepreneur is. So you can't expect to come into a business and think, right, I've worked all these hours this week, I'm going to get paid all this money, because you are probably not going to get paid anything. That's just the reality of starting a business. So I do always recommend that you have your 9 to 5. Don't quit that. I see so many people quit their job too soon, and then it actually stunts the growth of their business, because like I said, they start making emotional decisions and it just doesn't work out. So that's one of them. Secondly is the fact that employees work 9 to 5 and then they clock off. They go home, they watch Netflix. I'm not saying this is every employee, because I know that a lot of jobs actually are really high stress and you don't always clock off, but generally, lots of jobs, your hours that you're in work, and then your hours when you're out of work. And if you go on holiday, you clocked off. You can actually switch off, and if you are at the weekend, you can switch off. Whereas it's just not like that as an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur never ever switches off. And to be honest with you, it's really hard to kind of differentiate when you're at work and when you're not, because they kind of merge into the other. And a lot of the time, your work spills into really unsociable times where you want to be having a dinner with some friends, or there may be something to do with the kids, and there's something that you have to do with your business that takes priority over that. And that's just part and parcel of it. It's not that it's always going to be like that, but that absolutely does happen. And there's so many times where, me and my partner are both business owners, so sometimes we'll both be sat there in the evening working all night, and that is not really ideal for a couple, but sometimes you just have to do it. And it doesn't really matter what your business is. Like Kurt's salon is he owns a salon, and his salon is open, say 9 a.m. till 8 o'clock at night, but that's not where his job stops. But that's not where his work stops. He finishes work, he comes home, and then that's when he does all the other stuff, like he does his emails, and he's checking in on marketing stuff, and he's checking in on the website and doing stuff like that, stuff that he can't do when he's physically cutting hair. So the hours never really stop. And like I said, a lot of the time it is so inconvenient, and you may miss stuff that you really want to be a part of. You may miss kids stuff. And I know that a lot of the time people start their business because they want to do it for their kids. They want to have the flexibility so that they can be more present and be available for, all the school plays and all the parents' evenings and everything like that. But sometimes you just can't be there in the early days. And what I see so much is that people use their why as their excuse. And so people will say, I'm doing this for my kids, and I'm doing this because I want more time freedom, or I'm doing this because I want to retire my husband, or whatever. And then they say, well, I can't do this because my kids have kept me up all night, or I can't do this because, my kids have got a swimming lesson, or I can't do this because, and all the reasons why they can't do it is because they're kids, but that's the whole reason why they need to do it. So don't make your why your excuse. That's a real key one to remember. And there is always times, bless Kurt, he's had a bit of a rough deal with me. Our month end is always a really important day, so 31st or 30th of every month. It's always a really big time in our business, and we work up until midnight every day, every month end. And his birthday actually falls on the 31st of October. So every birthday I've not been available for it. I've been working my business and doing that. And I remember it was his 30th birthday, and one of the girls in my business, she was having a huge promotion in her business, and I wanted to be there for it. So I kind of tricked Kurt. I didn't trick him, but I made out like we had some gorgeous little boutique hotel, and that I was just going to swing by her house and do a little bit of business. Bless him, he had the worst birthday. It was so not a boutique hotel. It was an awful just dump in Banbury. But every birthday is the same. Every birthday I'm not really available on his birthday, but he gets that because it's just part of it, and it won't always be like that. And then even on New Year's Eve was a huge time in my business just gone, and everything was coming together, and I knew that I had to work right up until midnight. Craig David started singing Old Lang Syne on the telly, but I just knew that I had to work. So the fact is, it's not always convenient. Oh, another thing as well, when Kurt was actually starting his salon, I was pregnant. So I found out I was pregnant. Then he found his ideal venue for a salon, and I was like, yeah, you got to go for it. Let's do it. So it was so inconvenient. The timing was terrible. He actually opened 10 days before I gave birth, and I think I gave birth early because I was like, we were painting and scrubbing floors and doing all of that literally up until the day of opening. But you just have to get it done, and it's not always that way. So thirdly, another thing that you need to be aware of when you start a business is that your job role is just a whole grey area. So when you're an employee, you are employed as an accountant, or you're employed as a marketing manager, or you're employed as a receptionist. But when you're an entrepreneur, you are all of the above. Literally everything is you. And like I said, you are every job pretty much 24/7, but you also get paid nothing. You need to be okay with that. But yeah, suddenly, you come in because you wanted to start, you really you enjoy making clothes or something. So you started your business because you love making clothes, but then you find yourself 80% of the time doing the books and working out your social media and sorting out your accountant, and then doing some other kind of marketing, and then doing cleaning the shop floors or whatever it is. There's so many things that you are doing outside of why you started the business, and again, you just got to be okay with that. You have to be okay with doing stuff that isn't in your zone of genius. Your zone of genius is that thing that you're amazing at, but when you start a business, a lot of the time you're not doing that. And as it goes on, after a few years, you can start to outsource the things that you don't want to do. So I've started to outsource all the stuff that I don't want to do now, which is basically all numbers, admin stuff. And I just stick to all the creative stuff. And I find that a lot. So many creative people start a business and they're like, hold on, I'm not doing anything creative right now. But that's just part of it in the beginning. And then also, another key thing is that the difference between an employee and an entrepreneur is that as an entrepreneur, you're in charge of your own growth. So when you start a business, you have a vision for where you want to get to. That vision needs to be big. You know, you need to, I want you to have big visions and really like expect a lot from yourself and expect a lot from your business. But you need to grow into the person that's worthy of that success. You know, if you just woke up today and you had everything in your wildest dreams, you had the house, you had the job, you had the lifestyle, and it was all exactly as you dreamt it up, but you were still the same person as you are today, it would be completely overwhelming. But you are still the same person as you are today, it would be completely overwhelming. So you actually have to grow into the person that is worthy of that success and is comfortable with that success. But you're responsible for that growth. As an employee, there's always someone that sets out a roadmap for you. You know, there's someone that says, okay, if you do this and you do this and you do this, maybe we need to work on this, and you have that guidance. Whereas as an entrepreneur, a lot of the time you don't have a mentor, you don't have that kind of support system that's really guiding you in a certain direction. So you need to be hungry for the learning and hungry for the growth and actively be looking for how you can change yourself. And the biggest key about that is having self-awareness. So really looking at who you are right now, not tearing yourself apart, but seeing what areas you need to work on and actively trying to work on them yourself. So I hope that helps a little bit in terms of the mindset. But the main thing I want to say to you is, what price are you willing to pay for what you want? So as a business owner, there are amazing things that you can create for your life. You can create freedom in terms of time. You can create so many choices. You can help so many people. And there are so many benefits to being an entrepreneur. But you have to pay a price to get that. And what price are you willing to pay? Is it that you need to miss some events that you really want to go to, or sticking it out long enough to actually start to reap the rewards, and sticking it out through the times that are not glamorous? And what I find so much is that people see business owners on Instagram and it's a real kind of glamified, I don't know if that's a word, but a kind of like glamorous glimpse of what being a business owner is. You know, it's someone that's like all dressed up, all smart, they're in a coffee shop drinking their acai latte or whatever it is, and you know, they've got a designer bag and it's just so bougie, and you're like, oh yeah, love that life. But the reality, part of business is that, but most of the time, behind the scenes, the stuff that you don't see is not glamorous at all. It's getting up really early in the morning before the rest of the house wakes up so that you can just have that hour of peace to do what you need to do. It's staying up really, really late. It's waking up in the morning, slapping on some gel eye mask because your eyes are that puffy and tired because you've been up all night, but still doing what you said you were going to do. So what price are you willing to pay for what you want to have? And it's not always that you go, pedal to the metal, full throttle all the time, but you have to have short bursts of time where you absolutely drive your business. And there's definitely been times in my business, I'm not saying that for the last 7 years I've been absolutely flat out. I've always had a certain amount of urgency in my business, but there has been chunks when I've known I need to really put my foot down. And in the beginning of your business, that is the key part, to just get your head down and don't look up until you started to create some momentum in your business. And what I always say to my team when they start is that you have to have urgency, but you also have to have patience. And I know that sounds like a massive contradiction, but you have to have urgency in the sense that this business is only going to move and grow if you grow it. You have to have urgency. You can't have that tomorrow mindset or next month mindset where you say, oh, I'm just not feeling it today, I'll do it tomorrow. You have to do it now, because it's only that now that creates the urgency in your business. But at the same time, you have to have patience to know that it's not going to come straight away. You know, in the world of Instagram and social media where people want things instantly, we get really unsettled when things aren't happening straight away. But you have to have that patience to know that if you just keep doing the do, if you just keep staying consistent and you stick it out long enough, you will get the results that you want to get to. And just knowing that most of the time, things don't happen straight away. You know, if you post a picture of your product on Instagram and it's like tumbleweed and no one replies, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that no one's going to buy your product. You wouldn't just shut up shop. If you opened up a shop and you had all these gorgeous clothes in there, you spent ages doing it, and then some customers came in and they walked straight out again without buying anything, you'd never just shut up shop and say, oh, that's it, I'm not going to do it anymore. But sometimes, especially online businesses, we think of it like that. You know, someone doesn't buy a product as soon as we post it, if we think, oh, no one wants to buy it. But the fact is, most people need like 8 to 10 exposures before they buy something. How many times have you seen stuff pop up on Instagram and you've been looking at it for months now? You know, I've been looking at a Peloton bike for months now. My friend got it, and then I saw an advert, and then something popped up on my phone, and then I watched a YouTube video about it, and then there was one in the gym where I went to a hotel. And so you actually start to get these little messages, and then after a while you think, okay, I'm good, I'm ready to go for it. But you still need to be in the game on the 8th or 10th exposure where that person says, yeah, okay, I'm ready to go. You know, there's people that have joined my team that I spoke to 5-6 years ago. You know, so long ago. And some people even come back to me now and they say, I'm so sorry for only just getting back to you. I'm so sorry for the slow reply. I think, bloody slow reply. I messaged you 6 years ago. But the fact is, they've been watching my Instagram, they've been seeing bits and piecing together little bits. And so now is the time for them to say, okay, I'm ready to go for it. So make sure you're in the game to capitalize on that, but don't throw the towel in when you're not getting those instant results. It's like the gym. You know, if you go to the gym and you work your ass off for 2 hours and you don't like instantly get a six-pack, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to go anymore. You have to keep going. It takes a really long time for you to start to see results, and that's exactly the same in business. So I really hope that has given you a little insight. I don't want you to think that what I've said here is me saying that, you know, it's trying to put you off the entrepreneurial journey at all, because I wish everyone had the courage to just go for it. I think it's the most beautiful journey. You become the best version of yourself in the process of creating a business and growing yourself to the point you need to get to become who you want to be. And it's a beautiful, beautiful process. But don't be deluded into thinking that it's all going to be, you know, turmeric lattes and this whole high life Instagram life, because it's not. And don't be scared of the work it takes, and don't be scared of the time it takes either. You know, the time is going to pass anyway. Honestly, I started this 7 years ago, like I said, and I don't know where that time's gone. Honestly, when I look back at it now, it feels like it went in a flash. And if I hadn't have just, you know, instead of watching Netflix and instead of doing all this stuff that was just wasting time, just sitting scrolling on social media, if I hadn't have used that time to build a business instead, I would be in the exact same position as I was 7 years ago. And that scares me. It scares me how close I was to my life being exactly the same as it was. Time passes really, really, really quickly. So make sure that you're using this time wisely and putting it into your future and your family's future, but just come at it with an entrepreneur mindset and don't be deluded into what it takes. So thank you so much. I really hope you found that helpful. Like I said, please send me a message and let me know where you're at, what you're struggling with, what your wins are, how you're getting on, where you're at in your business ideas, or, you know, if you haven't started a business or you just want to have a chat, just, you know, reach out to me, because I love connecting with people and I love, you know, helping you in any way that I can. So tag me on Instagram at Made for More Pod, send me a message, and I really hope you found it helpful. Thanks guys, speak to you soon.